Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah for the opportunity to present. The topic of my talk is going beyond shelter, becoming Ansar. So this idea comes from the Quranic verse from Surah Al-Anfal, which is chapter 8, verse 75. And in this verse, two classes of believers are mentioned. One are the Muhajirin and the other are the Ansar. And the Muhajirin are refugees, or those who have left their homes, specifically for religious reasons in this context. And the Ansar are those who offer them help. And the commentary of this verse tells us that the people who have left their homes and the people who help them both will continue to earn blessings from God. So practical application of this verse comes from the same talk that Lubna Sahiba mentioned earlier, which is Hazur addressing the IAAE in 2021. He said, as a first step, the IAAE should formulate a detailed plan identifying how low-cost housing, services, and facilities can be constructed swiftly to rehome displaced people. So when you look at the current situation, in reflection of Hazur's words, you'll see that low-cost housing is being provided at a high rate and in a well-designed solution to refugees, but facilities and services do not receive the same design attention. One way of seeing this put in front of you is a website called the Rapid Shelter Innovation Showcase, which lays out all sorts of low-cost and rapid housing solutions. It tells you whether or not they're in stock or if they're just a prototype, how much they cost, what's the cost per resident. And so it's very highly organized and a lot of design thought is being put into this, which is great. But it is not just the product, but it's the whole process of having a shelter, having facilities and services being provided to those who have just lost everything. So, for example, I'm using the Better Shelter here because outside of the UNHCR tents, this is the most ubiquitous solution currently for those who have lost their homes. It is still in need of water and energy, waste management, and also services such as safety, healthcare, and ultimately getting these people back integrated into society. I believe there should be a holistic approach where the design and implementation of housing is just a small part of the pie, and those services and facilities are also getting a lot of attention on how to rapidly implement them. One way of thinking of this holistic approach is that a refugee or someone who has been displaced is initially getting shelter, energy, and food from non-renewable or temporary solutions, such as tents, cans, or diesel energy. And in this case, the sewage is being treated by a urine-diverting dry toilet. The benefit of this system is that it can produce fertilizer, which can then be used for some sort of farming, or alternatively, it can be sold as well to bring income into the camp. The same soil that is being used for agriculture, the exposed soil underneath can now be used for stabilized earth bricks, which are soil bricks with a small amount of cement, and they are just as strong as CMUs. And the income from the sold fertilizer can now be used for solar panels. So in this way, you build a holistic approach by looking at all aspects of what is needed to set up infrastructure, facilities, and services, not just housing alone. To bring a medical side to this as well, the significance of good design, not just in shelter but in all systems, has a genuine psychological difference to those who have to use it. So this study looked at containers versus dachas. Dachas are a word for wooden summer homes. So the study had three groups of people. One group was a control group who had not lost their home. The other group was put into these metal containers. And the third group was put into wooden dachas. They had the exact same square footage. It was only the design, the material that was different between the two. And what they found is that there were significant differences in the psychological well-being of these people, but they disappeared entirely when they controlled for the attitude towards their homes. Some data to back this up. The dissatisfaction with home, this is rated on a 1 to 5 scale. Those living in containers rated a 4.41, meaning they were extremely dissatisfied with their home. However, those living in dachas rated a 2.2, which is just barely above the control. So in reference to the control, they actually felt very satisfied with their home. One thing that I found incredible about this study, this bottom number, the psychological stress symptoms of these people, the people living in containers rated a 3.27, whereas the people living in dachas actually rated slightly below those living in their homes, which they had not lost. Meaning for somehow less stressed than those who had not lost their home at all. So this all goes to show that when we take the appropriate attention and put it towards design of these aspects, it can put a genuine impact on the psychological well-being of people. These are relevant links. Jazakallah.